you don't have to make 6 or 7 figures if you don't want to. You get to decide what kind of business you want. And if getting an extra $1,000 a month is enough for you, that's enough. And you get to run and be sustained in the business you want with the life you want. And that's what creates the thriving, is not, are you making so much money? Everyone thinks you're amazing. No, you're making the money you want. You're attracting who you want, the life you want.
Welcome back again to another episode of the Confident Mompreneur podcast, where we talk to real women from around the globe about real life difficulties and triumphs in momhood, business, relationships, health, and more. I'm your host, Kyrie, ready to give you real actionable advice to help you become the best, most confident version of you in all areas of your life. Let's get into it.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's nice to meet you.
Well, welcome on today, Aubin. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with you.
We were just chatting beforehand. Our paths must have crossed somewhere in the Wyoming-Utah border area.
Exactly. No, we don't know how we found each other, but we're grateful that we did.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We have a lot of friends in common and very much a similar mission. So I'm super excited to get to hear from you today. Do you want to start us out by introducing yourself a little bit about what you do, who you are, your family, all those good things?
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Aubin Palmer. I am a life and business coach for women, and I have been coaching for 3.5 years now. I started in the summer of 2020, that fun year we all remember, and it has been an adventure and changed my life. I love helping people, but when I really narrowed in on helping women and helping women know who they are, their identity, that they are amazing creatures, they can do so much. And running a business is such a fun way to find that. And I found that so many women are limiting themselves and holding themselves back in running a business because of the confusion of their identity as a woman. And going all in as a woman actually helps you do so much better in business and helps you. I like to call it the best self-development course out there, because when you're running a business, you have to face all that insecurity, anything that's bugging you. People can get by without looking at it, but if you're running a business, it smacks you in the face and you either face it or run away and don't run a business. So I love helping women with all of that. I also love helping women with money and believing that money is good. They are good. I've never met a bad woman. I'm sure they're out there, but the women that come into my world are good. It's just we attract who we are. So I've never even hesitated to tell the women I'm talking to that they are good and they will do good things with money. And so they deserve and will attract lots of money if they are open to receiving it. And so I love helping them to do that so they can do more good in the world and help more people, help themselves, help their families. Speaking of family, I do have a family. I have 3 little girls, which I love being an example for. That's part of what motivates me. I am a girl mom. So one is 9, one is 7, and one is almost 2 this December. So I just have lots of estrogen in my house and we love it. We say, thank you, husband Jeff, for having all girls in your house, but it's fun. And I just think that if more women knew who they were, the potential they have, even if not in business, if they just understood that, the world would just change, because women have so much to give and offer. And I just love helping women find that. So that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. Yes, so many similarities, but really what I got from you and everything that you've done is just women are powerful. We are far more powerful than we give ourselves credit for, in so many different ways. So
exactly.
When you got into this 3 years ago, what did that look like? What drove you to it? And how has your journey as a businesswoman kind of gone and grown?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually worked as a nurse first. I always wanted to be a nurse growing up. And I always said I wanted to be a nurse because it was a good mom job. And I loved anatomy and I loved all that stuff too. But I was always planning as a child, if I'm going to go through school, I want a job that I can still work if I'm going to be a mom because I did want to be a mom. But see the conflicting energy I have in that. I was like, I have to pick something only if it works with being a mom. And
Mm.
it just kind of showed the confusion I had my whole life growing up of I can't do both. I have to somehow make it work. And it's a very popular mom job. A lot of the nurses I knew were moms, and I worked night shift for a long time so that I could be full-time mom and still work. And it was exhausting.
I
And and I actually found coaching because I was just at a dead point in my life because I had everything I'd always wanted. I had become a nurse, I had children, I had a house, I had a husband, and I was miserable. And I couldn't understand why. And you hear this all the time. It's like I check the boxes. Why am I not fulfilled? Why am I not living as happily as I thought I would? So that's how I found life coaching. And I'm the kind of person that I would rather go all in and do it than just listen and learn. So I decided to become a life coach. And I had no idea what I was getting into, but it changed my life because I really found myself and understood so much more of the power I have and that we all have in creating our lives. It doesn't happen to us. I didn't know that even about emotions. I thought emotions just come to me and I'm a victim to whatever emotion I feel. And I had no idea that I had so much power with emotions and that they do come from our thoughts, but we can process them and be okay with them and understand them. And also the power of our thoughts and the actions we take and the results we create and just the energy we're in as a person. And as I figured this all out and I was living it as I learned it in certification, I was like, oh, wait, now I have to start a business. Like I hadn't connected the dots, even though I knew I was signing up to start a business. I almost thought just telling people that I was a life coach, people would just like flood to me and that's all I had to do. And I hadn't realized I was going to need to learn marketing and sales and all the admin parts of a business. And so at first I was a little resistant and like, well, maybe I'll just find a job as a coach because I didn't know I was going to have to be a business. And then I realized because I was still working at the hospital, if I'm going to do this, I want to learn how to be my own boss, how to run my own business. And once I decided that, it took a conscious decision. I felt the shift and I started learning everything I could about business because I wanted to see how to not only be a coach, but also run a business. And so as I got better and better at that, I was just coaching women at the time. More and more started asking me for help with business. And so it kind of pivoted my niche into helping women with business. And the more I did it, the more and more I saw this is such a better way to help women see the power they have, especially those that are ambitious and pursuing running their own business, because it takes a lot of ambition. It's not for the faint of heart, but it is so fulfilling and fun. And the more I've learned about feminine energy and putting that into my business, I've really learned to embody being a woman in business and using the skills and strategy, but really using the feminine flow and intuition and mindset work has helped me really create the business that I love, that I enjoy doing every day, and that I now can give 100% to working and 100% to my kids. And that's how I believe it. I give 100% to business, family, and myself every day. And when I believe it that way, I never feel competition between them. I never feel conflicted in my identity. It's who I am. These are my priorities, and they all thrive. And that's how I've created the life I have now with coaching and helping women in business.
I love that so much. And you said it so well, like at the beginning, when you talked about starting a business brings out all of the things that are already in you, right? So if we have
Yeah,
a negative mindset about something, it's going to show up tenfold when we start our business.
exactly.
Like, I think having a business just accentuates the things that are already going on in your mind, in your body, spiritually, all of the things. So, how do you really, now that you're kind of into this, help women work on finding their power as they create a business and creating it in a way that allows them to thrive in every area of their life?
Yeah. So I really believe that the business is part of it, but I always tell all my clients I am a life and business coach. So we're going to look at anything that's coming up for you. And so sometimes we'll have sessions just about narrowing on their offer and how to sell it. And then the next week will be about their marriage and what's going on there and their money mindset in their marriage and figuring all that out with financing. And then helping them really come to their own identity is kind of the root of all of it, because like I shared, I was feeling conflicted, like, am I a mom? Am I a coach? Am I a nurse? Am I a wife? And when I dropped all the labels and just said, I am me, I am woman, and felt that, then I could be more intuitive and say, this is what I want. I do want to run a business. I quit my job at the hospital in 2021 because I was ready to go all in on being coaching. And so I'm not currently practicing as a nurse. And I'm fine with that because I went in as me. And so I love help women to help find who they are and stop following the molds, following the stereotypes they think they need to be. And even specifically in business, like you don't have to make 6 or 7 figures if you don't want to. You get to decide what kind of business you want. And if getting an extra $1,000 a month is enough for you, that's enough. And you get to run and be sustained in the business you want with the life you want. And that's what creates the thriving, is not, are you making so much money? Everyone thinks you're amazing. No, you're making the money you want. You're attracting who you want, the life you want. And that's what creates just the thriving energy in you. But so many people don't even know what they want. And so I love to coach and help people find that, because that was a journey for me as well. Like I had all those things I wanted, but it was kind of what everyone had always told me I wanted, right? A family, a house, a job. And so being an adult woman, I had to start figuring out, what do I want? And when you unlock that part of yourself, you just step into a whole new identity and really find yourself, because you don't have to want what anyone else wants. You don't have to what everyone thinks you should want. You get to be who you are and then create it. And that's the magic of the power we have in us, is that we can create what we want. And we wouldn't want it if it wasn't possible. There's part of you that knows it's possible. That's why you want it. And that's what I love to tell people, because often they think that's too crazy, I don't even want to say it. And I say, you have to. If it's even coming up in you, there's a reason. And when you say it out loud, you've already started the process of creating it, and letting go of the time and when it's going to happen, and just believing it and feeling it is the magic of how you can create it.
Yeah, the magic of our intuition as a woman is so powerful. I love a couple of the things that you said there. Just the ability to let go of the external expectations, because I think especially as women, since we were very, very young, we've had these expectations put on us from everybody, society, our families, religion, if you grew up in religion, like there's always those expectations. And while they're great while you're growing up, it's like at some point you reach that point where, like you did when you were in nursing, you had everything that you thought you wanted, and you realize you're still not happy, and you're like, okay, what the heck? What am I supposed to do now? So like you said, I think it really comes back to finding who we are as people. And that can be really, really hard, because it's like shedding years and years and years of all of these expectations and, shifting that way of thinking that you had been stuck in. So you talked a lot about like our power as creators to create the life that we want. I would love for you to go a little bit more into that. She has her own podcast, and I was listening to it the other day. And she did an episode on this, and I thought it was so powerful and so good, especially given what you've recently gone through and kind of how that has even shifted your thinking even more.
Yeah, no, and I'm very comfortable sharing it. Again, I had a miscarriage last month, and so I felt that creating power again. I've had 3 children before, so I recognized it, and it was a short pregnancy. It was in the first trimester, not very far along, but I still felt it. And I was amazed that when I was in that full creating power, it didn't slow me down in my business at all. It actually like sped me up. And I had done my last pregnancy, I was in business before, But because I have grown and shifted in my energy so much, even in the time of being a coach, I felt it even in those few weeks I was pregnant, and felt that creating power. And women, I think, dismiss this power we have way too much because there's so much connotation and stigma around pregnancy and being a mom and the roles you're supposed to do and all of that. And what if you just let go of all of that and just thought about, I, as a woman, can create life, period, and feel that.
That's
And we
really
don't have
crazy
to
when we
be
think about it.
right. Yeah. If we like slow down and think like my body created another life, another body, and we don't have to be pregnant to feel that. And because I was pregnant for such a short time and then lost it, and I grieved and I felt those feelings, but as I was in that grieving, I said, I don't want to lose this creation energy that I felt. And it's motivated me tenfold to just even go harder into my business and help more women and create, because like we said, business is such a great way to create and do things and find things that are a part of who you are, not just your insecurities, but the things you want. Because when you're an entrepreneur, there really are no rules. I mean, you have to follow some laws of like setting up a business, but that's about it. You really get to do whatever you want. So you have to learn how to listen to yourself and know what you want and then create it. And we don't have to do it the way a man does because we're not men. And I do not bash on men. I respect men and I'm so grateful for them, but we are not them. And that's something that women get confused a lot because the business industry has been so predominantly men for so long. And so now in this new world we're in where you can work from home all online and have a very successful, thriving business in a very creative, on your own time, in your own way, step into it as a woman. Be a woman in your creative energy and create your business that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love feeling that energy in business.
Mm-hmm. I think it's so cool that we get to be that way. And, you know, it's very interesting. My partner is a man and he runs his own business, and it's so vastly different the way that we each run our business, but like it matches our ideas of success for each of us.
Right.
And
exactly.
So it's very, very cool to see just like how my feminine energy presents in my business and the way that I choose to run it. You talked a lot about like the intuition side of things and how we can really tune into that and listen. What would you say to somebody who's like, I don't even know what I want. I don't know how to listen to myself. Like I'm so wrapped up in everything else that, you know, I've been taught or heard or whatever that I don't know what's actually me. How do we get to that point where we can really hear and understand ourselves?
Yeah. So most people tend to lend to masculine and feminine energy more in just how they live life. And to clarify, feminine energy is not just by gender. All women and men have feminine and masculine energy. Feminine energy is more of the being, and masculine energy is more of the doing. And so when we kind of simplify it like that, I like to help people learn how to feel something, trust it enough to then go do it, act on it, and try it. And so you kind of go back and forth saying, okay, this is what feels right. I don't have to have all this evidence and proof. It's just in my heart. This is what feels right. That's the feminine. And then go try it. And I love to call this gathering evidence, because often we get stuck in just the idea and we don't do anything with it because we're afraid, well, it's not perfect. I don't know if it's going to work. I have to have everything figured out first. But when we follow our intuition, which is the strong feminine energy we have if we want it, and listen to it, you learn to listen to it by acting on it. So using some of that masculine too helps you to find what it feels like to use your intuition. And when you gather more evidence, you can then listen to your intuition again and make a new decision and say, okay, now that I know more because I acted on it and did things and saw how things were working, now what do I want to do? What feels right now? And it's going all in on the decision, trusting your intuition completely, and acting on it enough to then follow your intuition again and learn more.
Mhm.
I also love to tell people that, it's not that strategy is bad, but there's no strategy that's right for you, except for the one that feels right to you. So that's where you need your intuition again with the strategy of masculine energy. So that's where it's good to learn and see what different ideas are out there and then follow your intuition of what's right for you. What kind of business do you want? Do you want to work every day? Do you want days where you don't work? Do you want just different strategies you can use to create your business, but listening to what feels right to you? And if you don't know how to listen to your own intuition, what feels right, start with little things. Like sometimes doing big decisions in your business can be intimidating. So you could start with, what clothes should I wear today? Like that seems like not even a big deal, but just learning to listen to yourself and say, okay, if I have these two outfits in front of me, which one feels better? And it's just little things like that that you can do to start learning to listen to yourself. And you probably are doing it more than you realize. Like if I say that of an example, you're like, well, of course I do that every day. But learning to just say like, okay, instead of it making like a logical where we go out to eat tonight, let's see what feels right. And just learning to go inward into your feelings of your intuition instead of just, well, this one's closer and it costs less, so that's where we're going. Say, no, let's come inward and just see what feels right. Even if it isn't logically the best choice, let's see what feels right and then act on it and just see what it happens. And so you can practice with little things like that to then be much more familiar with listening and hearing your intuition and trusting it to then use in your business as well.
Mm-hmm. I think everything you said is so good and so true. I know when I was first kind of starting in my journey, it was like really hard to like find that part of me. But as I slowed down and created more time and space for myself, that was when I really opened myself up to hearing that. And now it's like something I do so naturally because I put the
Yeah.
time, energy, and practice into it. It's like a muscle that you develop over time. Just the other day, I like kept getting this thing just like ringing in my head. You need to do this. You need to do this. And I was like, okay, I can't ignore it anymore. So I immediately like reached out to a few people that could help me like move in that direction. And as soon as I like took that first step, like you were saying, it just like felt good. It felt right. It felt like, okay, yeah, you listened. Now you're going in the right direction.
Yes, exactly. And it just takes practice, and there's no perfect. That's often what we're like, I'm not good enough. We're usually just saying I'm not perfect.
Mm,
And there is no perfect. My favorite thing to say to people. So you're good enough at it right now where you are, wherever you are with intuition, and you will always be getting better at it the more you practice it and do it. So
mhm.
it just goes beautifully with the action and the being. And I love how you said you slow down because that is such a huge part. When our mind is racing and we're stressed and thinking about everything, we're not going to hear our intuition. So learning to be present is one of my favorite things to teach women, because when we are present, it's so still and quiet that you have to learn how to turn off the chatter for a second and just listen.
Mhm.
And then you can get those answers so much easier. And so then it does become second nature and you don't have to be as intentional, but learning it in that intentional state helps you to get there.
Yeah. There, I don't remember if you said this on your podcast or if it was another one I was listening to. But they said like you have to clear the table, right? You have to like, we've got this table that we're trying to work, we're trying to create something on. It's not going to work if it's a mess, right? As moms, I'm sure if you're anything like me, I cannot like focus in mess. It like makes me crazy. I like immediately am stressed and anxious. So it's like clearing the table of everything and just like allowing yourself to sit and look at the table and start to mold things and shape things and try new things. And that's the biggest step, I think, too, like you've said, is just like starting, because we get stuck in that perfectionism loop. And like you said, there's no perfect. We can learn and learn and learn and never do anything because there's always going to be new things to learn, or, you know, some new study out that tells you X, Y, and Z is better, or, you know, it's whatever. But if you put yourself out there, that's the best step to learn, because you're going to figure out what works, what doesn't. You're going to learn how to pivot from there and figure out, again, once you put yourself out there, you learn to listen if you need to go right or left and pivot and change and grow.
Exactly. I love that. And I think too, when you're clearing the table, then you get to choose what you want on the table. So
Mhm.
by having that analogy in your mind of like, there's nothing here. What do I want? And if you don't know how to know what you want, if there's really literally nothing there, metaphorically, of course, but if you can picture that, then it gives you that space to say, but what do I want here on my table? What do I already have that I want to keep? Or what do I want to create that I want to have here more of? So it just gives you that access to that part of you by
Mhm.
clearing the table.
Yeah. So you also talk about like giving ourselves permission, right? To
Hmm.
be who we want to be, regardless of what everybody else says we should be or whatever. And one of the things that came up on your page for me was like money. You talk about money a lot. And I think for women, we have money tied up as this really negative thing in our minds. How do we shift our thinking on that and really start to be okay with wanting money?
Yeah, it's usually a contradiction in everyone's minds because they're like, I'm running a business, I want money, but money is bad, and I'm
Yeah.
selfish if I want it. And if we like, I have people just tell me everything they think about money. They're almost embarrassed to say it out loud, of course. And of course, they're in a safe space with me as their coach. I'm like, there's no judgment. I just want to hear, and I want you to hear everything that's going on in your mind about money at the same time. And then when you say all this out loud, are you surprised your business isn't making money? If you want to run a business, you have to have a good relationship with money. And one of my favorite things to tell women is good people do good things with money. Bad people do bad things with money. And there's been a lot of bad things done with money in the course of history, of course. But negative stuff always gets more attention. How many good things have been done with money by good people over the course of history as well? And like I said, I know all the women I am talking to are good. And when I ask them, if you could do anything with money and there was no consequence, no one would think anything of you, nothing would matter what you did, just what do you want to do? They say beautiful things. They say, I want a bigger house for my family. I want to take my children on trips. I want to donate to this foundation. I want to just things like this that are good things. And this idea that it's selfish or negative to want money is going to block money from ever coming to you. And so, one of the beautiful parts of feminine energy is receiving. And we have to be open to receiving money to ever get it, to have it in our lives. And I love for women to see that money is an energy. It's easy to think of it as numbers, and that is more of the masculine energy side of the money. You just think of it as the number, but it is not numbers at all. There's an energy behind it. And when I ask them, because one of the things people ask me for help all the time is, what do I price my product or
Mhm.
service at? That's people struggle with that a lot. I say, what is the energy of what you are doing? What is this value that you are giving? And what price of money feels like a match for that energy, that value? And then they were say like, well, like people can't afford this and it won't work. And like, that's not what I said. Let's just look at the energy of the money. And so when we're looking at that with your business, that is huge if you're wanting to make money, but also remembering that it is a tool. And I got to a point in my business where I was doing well and I was like, okay, if I keep doing this, I'm going to make a lot of money. And am I okay with that? It was kind of this self dilemma. And I had to like really self ask myself, why do I want money? Because I'm upper middle class. I'm doing well. My husband has a job, provides for our family. Like, if I ask myself, do I need this money? The answer is no. So why would I want it? And as I pondered that, I really came to two words that I love to teach women with money, and it is power and freedom.
Mhm.
Because the more money you have, the more power you have to change the world, the more power you have to do what things you feel are right for you, to create everything you want in your life. And you have full freedom to do anything and everything you feel you want. So part of why being an entrepreneur is the best way to create the life you want is because part of that creation is making enough money to have that power and freedom to create whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. That is so powerful. And I mean, you said so many great things there. The power and freedom that come with it is so immense. And especially as a mom who's getting into business, like, isn't freedom like the top thing that comes to your list on why you started a business? Whether that's, freedom to be able to make your own work schedule or the freedom to be able to make as much money as you want and spend it on that time with your kids, right? Taking them places, doing things with them, allowing them to live, without having to worry about their lights being shut off. Like there's so much that comes from that. And I think, like you said, we're so tied up in the masculine energy of money that we forget all of the beautiful, wonderful things that can come from it too. But like you said, I think just shifting our energy in every single way brings us so much just openness and ability to receive things. Like you said, feminine energy, like receiving, is a huge part of that.
And I also love to help women see that feminine energy flows and so does money. And people get so like, wow, because I say if we have a woman sitting in a circle of 10 and say one of them has something that I want to buy, so I buy it from her for $100, and then she wants something that someone else wants, so she buys it from her for $100, and then someone else wants something else. All 10 of us had the same $100, but all of us made $100. Money flows. It is powerful when we give and receive it openly. It just flows in a beautiful feminine way. And this is one of my favorite things to help women see is that service does not have to be free. Women are very service oriented. It is part of our feminine energy and our gift, but then they think it has to be free, but that's just an idea. The best service does have a price on it. The most valuable service is so valuable you have to pay for it. I think if you go to the doctor, they don't even tell you the price. You just have to pay for it, right? Like life-saving service has a price. And when we're doing things for people, we are not serving them less by asking them to pay for it. We are serving them more. And I tell people all the time, my most successful clients have paid me the most. Why do you think that is? Because they're invested the most. They care about it. They see the value of what they're paying. And so that takes away the guilt. I don't think I'm charging too much. I don't think I'm hurting people, asking them to pay. I am serving them even just by the price I charge, and then even more with the service of what I do with coaching. And when you are in that mindset and believing money flows, it is service, it is good to receive and give, and it is always there for everyone. The same $100 I spend, she's going to spend, and we're all making $100. You're just excited about it. And I get excited to buy things from people. I get excited when people buy from me, and it's just a beautiful flow, and it's very feminine. Money, it does not have to be masculine at all. You can be a very successful woman in business in full feminine energy with the flow of it.
I love that you use the word service because, yeah, that's huge for women, especially, women in business. That's a big part of why we do what we do too, is like the service aspect. We want to be able to help people, especially if we're spending time away from our kids. We're usually doing it so that we can serve people. There's some bigger meaning behind what we're doing. I always think of it as like, by putting your price out there and charging people for it, you're allowing them to receive from you and also give to you at the same time, right? And if we're blocking that, we're blocking somebody else's ability to be in that energy too. So it's not only hurting us, it's hurting the other people around us too.
Exactly. And that's why I love to tell people, don't give it for free, even to your friends. And there's definitely times where you can discern, like, this person, I feel like I should give this service to or product to. But I see women all too often just giving everybody discounts, everybody for free, everybody, they know if I love you, I have to do it for free. And I have very good friends in my business, and I'm so glad they're there and that I charge them. And if I want something they sell, I go buy it from them. And it's not, oh, we'll just trade. It's, I give you money, you give me money, because there's energy and value in the service by actually paying for it. And who do we want to support more than our friends of women in business? I don't want to go
Mm-hmm.
spend all my money on these big corporate machines. I want to support other women in small businesses.
Yeah.
So I charge my friends and I pay my friends full price, even if they offer me a discount, because I believe in what they do. I believe in the money and value of it, and I want to pay them for it. And that gives me so much more abundance and energy in everything I do in my business by having that belief with purchasing from other people too.
Absolutely. I love that you said you believe in it, right? So if you're creating a service, you have to believe in it and then believe that, the thing that you're doing holds enough value to charge X, Y, and Z for it.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of women, again, get stuck in that comparison game and they don't think that maybe it's good enough or, people aren't going to pay for it or whatever. It starts with you and the beliefs that you're holding around it. If you believe in what you're selling or what you're, giving to people, it's going to come across that way. People can feel that energy.
exactly. And if you don't believe in it, they're not going to believe in it. That's what I always love to tell women. If you're not 100% believe this is amazing, this is worth what I'm charging, how can you expect anybody else to believe in it and pay for it? And so
Mm-hmm.
when you do that mindset work to know, okay, this is what I do. I believe in it. I know it will help people. And I know I'm charging a price that matches that energy, the value of it. I welcome you. I'm inviting you to have this. And if you don't want it, that's okay. I'll give it to somebody else that's ready for it. And that just creates such a better energy around sales and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people struggle with pricing because they want to help everybody. And I love to tell people there's three kinds of people out there when you're selling. There's people that really can afford it. There's people that think they can afford it, and people that can afford it and are ready to buy. And if you're selling to everyone, of course you can't serve all of those people because there's people that can't afford it, literally. And if you're running a business, you can't serve everybody, including those people. But I love to believe that marketing is my free service. Marketing helps them. And so when I get on my podcast, when I get on Instagram, when I do emails, that is my free coaching I give every week. And I'm helping those people that can't afford coaching. And then it's fun. I love marketing because I don't even call it marketing. I call it free coaching. And so in my energy, I know I'm helping everyone, but those that can afford what I do, then, and they're ready for it, those are the people I help. And I'm so ready for them and okay asking them to pay for the value and energy of what I'm doing. And it just makes it feel whole in your business because a lot of women do care about everybody and think that they're shortcutting people that can't afford it if they price it too high, and helping them see that if you serve people with your marketing, then you are helping everyone. And the people that are ready and can afford it will come to you and want to pay what you ask for gladly and excitedly. And you don't even have to feel salesy or worried about if people are, I hate when people say I'm taking money from people, because you're not. They're giving it to you and you're giving them your product and service. There's no taking on either part. It's giving and receiving in a beautiful energy. And when you feel that, you will grow your business. That's how you can grow your business without feeling any negative emotions or energy about it, because you're in full, just blossoming in the flow of money. And if you want to make money, you have to be good with money. You have to love it. You have to say it's okay and see it as a tool to be more of who you are.
Mm, that's such a good way to say it. I love that. So, any final tips, tricks, tools, anything like that for the woman that's really knows that they need to make a shift? They're not quite sure what that's going to look like. How do they go about doing that and some of the process in the thinking and the mindset shifts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my favorite way to become more aware of your mindset is to journal and to take off the filter. A lot of times when we're talking to people, of course, we have a filter on what we're really thinking. But if you can journal is what I love to do. Is I just say it how I'm thinking it, and usually your hand just takes away from you and you don't even realize what you're writing, and it's very cathartic because you're not thinking, and it just unleashes the subconscious thoughts, the limiting beliefs you have. And then you see them and you're like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm not making any money. No wonder nobody's buying my products. No wonder I feel negative all the time. I'm feeling shame, disappointment, failure. Like it just makes sense when you see the kind of thoughts you're thinking. And my favorite thing, I've heard of like black journals where you burn them or something, but what I like to do is to cross it out.
Mm.
And it's almost like deleting it from your mind and then writing a new way of how I want to believe it, because there's so much power in your words, in your thoughts. And if you can just start simply there by saying, okay, I think money is bad and only bad people have it. You realize you've been thinking that this whole time. Cross it out and say, I am a good woman and I will only do good things with money. That just changed so much of who you are and what energy, what world you're in, reality you will create with that one thought. And there's so many. It's a never ending journal. I still do this and I've been doing it for a long time. There's always subconscious thoughts there, but when you become aware of them, cross them out and shift to what you know you could believe that will put you in a better energy. And sometimes people have a hard time coming up with a new thought. And so I always love to ask when I'm coaching, what energy do you want to be in? What emotion do you want to feel instead of where you are right now? Because when you're thinking money is bad and only bad people have it, you're feeling guilty maybe for wanting money. So what do you want to feel about wanting money? Well, I want to feel good. I want to feel abundant. So if you're saying, okay, I want to feel abundant, what kind of thought would I want to think? And that can help you find a new way to say it that you then repeat to yourself. And you're literally rewiring your brain, because our subconscious brain is just our default. And you're teaching it to think what you want it to think. And that changes your whole life.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy when you first start diving into like your subconscious way of thinking. Like you said, when you write it out on a page, it's like thinking it is one thing, but then having to see it and actually read it and be like, wow, I kind of sound crazy right there. Like, it's kind of interesting. You know, we're thinking those things with very little effort on our part, but then we have to like go through and put the effort in to rebuild those, you know, put those new thoughts in. And that takes a lot of time and effort at the beginning. But then slowly over time, if you've done it enough, it'll go back into like a subconscious thinking and it'll just replace the one that was there before.
Yep. And that's the rewiring. That's your new default.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes who you are. You become a different person when you do this. And it sounds simple. It is simple, but it's not easy. Like you said, it takes effort and it can be a little uncomfortable at first. But if you're willing to go through it, it literally will change everything about your life. And I promise it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your thoughts may take you double the time because you're like thinking something and then immediately having to replace it and then thinking another thing and having it to replace it. So it does take, you know, double the time, but eventually, like we said, it becomes easier. So well, thank you so much for coming on. I think this was such a valuable conversation.
Yes, thank you.
And like you said, your marketing is wonderful. Free coaching out there. Like, you know, she puts so many incredible things out on Instagram, on her podcast, all of the things with just these little tiny shifts that we can make that really add up to a big thing over time. So tell us where we can find you, what you've got going on, what coaching programs you have available, all the things.
Yes. I am just Aubin Palmer Coaching at Gmail, which is the benefit of having a unique name like Aubin. I get all the handles I want, but yeah, that's my website name too, aubinpalmercoaching.com. And I do one-on-one coaching and I have masterminds. So I open those up periodically just when it's the right time. So if you're interested in any of that, just reach out to me because I love meeting new women and seeing where they are and what would help them.
Yeah. Well, and the women that we surround ourselves is a huge component of our growth and, you know, getting everything that we want out of life. So start finding those people, including her and I, and surround yourself with them, and you'll come out a better person at the end.
Yes, that's beautiful. So well said.
Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for reaching out to me, and it was an honor to be here today. Thank you.
Wasn't that so amazing? We are so lucky to have such amazing guests on our podcast. If you guys love this as much as I did, please make sure to reach out and share, tag us in your stories, and let us know what you thought. We love hearing feedback from you guys about the things that you learn and the guests that you love. So we love to hear and see from you. And as always, thank you so much for being here and supporting. It means the world. And we will see you guys next week.